Welcome back to the channel, Happy Halloween. In this video, I'm going to be going through the calc section of the May 2021 US SAT. Let's go. And as always, we start with number 1. It takes 6 hours to travel m miles. At this rate, how much time in hours will it take to travel 5m miles? Well, the way you go from m to 5m is you multiply m by 5. So we're going to do the same thing with a 6. Just multiply 6 by 5 and we get 30. A. Number 2, if 2x plus 4 equals 100, what is the value of 6x plus 12? We can do this in a couple ways. One way you could do it is you could actually solve it for x and then plug that number in, 6x plus 12, and solve it. But another way you could do it, a more sly way, man, this keeps falling off, I'm going to take it up before the end of this video, is we notice that 6x plus 12 is just 3 times as big as 2x plus 4. So that means we can just multiply the 100 by 3 and get 300. Number 3, a length of 8 furlongs is equivalent to how many meters? And they said 1 furlong is 201 meters. Okay, so all we've got to do is multiply 201 by 8, which gives us 1608. Number 4, which of the following is closest to the number of fish in the population 16 months after January 15th? So we're just going to look at the graph. At 16 months, we were at about 15,000, so C is our answer. Number 5, what is the ratio of AB to BC? Well, AB is 20. BC is 5. So it's 20 to 5. So that will be B. Okay. Cool. Dope. Next page. Number 6. Each of the whole numbers from 1 to 20 is written on one of 20 identical pieces of paper. They're then put in a hat and mixed together. Okay. One piece is selected at random. What is the probability that the number on it is a multiple of 3? Okay, easiest way we can do this is, yeah, this is coming off. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Easiest way to do that is simply to write the numbers out and count how many of them are multiples of 3 and put that over 20. So we've got 1, let me see, easy. Let me rephrase. Let's write out all the multiples of 3 and see how many there are. So we've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers here. So it's going to be 6 out of 20, which is answer choice C. Okay, number 7. The table shows the maximum depth in meters of the 5 deepest ocean trenches. Great. What is the range of these 5 depths? So the way you do the range is you just do the biggest minus the smallest. Where's my calculator? Here it is. I'm going to use it. So our biggest number here is this 11,033. Our smallest number is this 10,047. So we get 986 as our answer. Cool. Dope. Next page, number 8. A relative yield of corn expressed as a percent in soil pH recorded 5 samples. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, and then it said that the relative yield reached a maximum when the soil was 6.8 and then decreased. Which one shows this? Okay, so we just picked the one that shows the peak being at 6.8 and then going down. So that's clearly not A, clearly not B. C looks like it works, and D, it goes higher after it reaches it. So D can't be it, so C is our answer. Number 9, a new car is purchased. The value is modeled by a function that decreases exponentially. Which of the following could describe how the value of the car changes each year? So if it decreases exponentially, it means it's going to keep decreasing by a different amount. So linear growth or decline means it decreases by the same number. When it's exponential, it keeps changing. So let's see. So therefore, it won't be A, because that's a linear relationship. It won't be B, because that's another linear relationship. It won't be C because C is an increase. So it's got to be D because that's a decrease. Cool. Okay, next page again. Number 10, we have a box and whisker plot. Here we want to know the median temperature. Cool. In the box and whisker plot, the median is that middle line. Cool. So it's this line right here. So we want to see what that's closest to. And it looks like that's between 41 and 43. So 42 should be our answer. Number 11, the solution to the given system of equations is a comma b. What is the value of 3a plus 3b? So this one you could try to solve for a and solve for b, but you might notice something. If we just add these equations together, we get 3a plus 3b. So just add them together. 3a plus 3b equals 36. And looks like we answered the question, so it's going to be D. In triangle ABC, the measure of angle C is 90 degrees. If sine of A is equal to 3 over 5, what is the measure of cosine B? We have a rule with triangles. When you have a right triangle, and you have two angles, let's say the angles are, since they have A and B, we'll say A and B. The rule is sine of A is equal to the cosine of B. So the sine of the one angle is equal to the cosine of the other angle. And you could even put this into your calculator, set it to degrees and test it out. It'll always be true. So if they told us that sine of A is 3 over 5, because sine of A has to be equal to cosine of B, we know that cosine of B has to be 3 over 5 as well. So A is going to be our answer. Number 13, linear function f, graph of y equals f of x passes through these 2 points, 0, 2, 2, 6. Which equation defines f? Great. So looking at the answer choices, they all have the same y-intercept of 2, which makes sense, that's correct. But they all have different slopes. So all we really need to do, my seat is like going down or something. All we really need to do is calculate the slope. So slope is going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is going to be 6 minus 2 over 2 minus 0, which equals 4 over 2, which equals 2. So our answer is going to be the one with a slope of 2, which is C. Cool. Dope. Next page, 14, the 2017, getting political in here. SAT is getting all political up in our business. They elected 30 members, that Dems and Republicans. D is the Democrats who voted yes. R is the Republicans who voted yes. More than 30 have to vote yes for it to pass, which of the following represents possible values of D and R for a bill to pass. Well, they told us that more than half of these 30 have to vote for it. So we know we need to go for greater than 15, not less than. And they said more than half, right? Not half, more than half. So the answer has to be A, because with C, you could get to just half, that 15, but we need more than 15. Number 15, in the equation, C is a constant. If the equation has exactly one solution, what is the value of C? So for it to have one solution, we need to remember something. We need to use what's called a discriminant. The discriminant is that part in your quadratic equation, that x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. It's the part under the square root. It's that b squared minus 4ac. So we have some rules with the discriminant. When b squared minus 4ac is bigger than 0, or just positive, you're going to have two real solutions. If it's equal to 0, you're going to have one real solution. If it's less than 0, you're going to have no real solutions. So, and a, b, and c are simply the coefficients of the x squared term, the x term, and then the c term with the constant. So we're going to do b squared minus 4ac. This has to be bigger than 0. B is negative 2, so it's negative 2 squared minus 4 times 1, because the coefficient of the x squared is actually a 1, it's not a 0, times c has to be bigger than 0. So 4 minus 4c has to be bigger than 0. So 4 must be bigger than 4c. So we have to pick whatever value makes this true. And so let's see what that's going to be. Oh, nope, no. Messed up. Not bigger than 0. My apologies. It has to be equal to 0. Because bigger than 0 means you have two solutions. It has to be equal to 0 for it to have one solution. So it's not for so we end up with this. So it should be 4 equals 4c. Which value makes that true? And that's going to be c equals 1. Whew. Whew. Even I, the tutor, your lovely host and gracious tutor, have to be careful with these questions. Cool. 16. We have a table. We want to know which table models, which equation models what's in the table. All you've got to do for this is basically match the equation to the table. Just plug the values into the table, into the equations, and see what works. Remember to always check all the answer choices, though, because sometimes funky things happen when you don't check all the answer choices. So let's try it out. 81 times 5. Does 81 times 5 give us 405? Yes, it does. So A works. B, of course, does not work. C does not work. And D does not work. So A is the answer. Number 17. Look at that. Okay, another similar thing. So we want to know which linear equation model best models the data. Here's how you got to do this question. You need to start by drawing a line of best fit through the data. What that means is you basically draw a line that goes roughly through the middle of the points. Let me show you what that would look like. So you essentially would draw a line that looks something like this, more or less. It kind of goes through the center of the points. And then what you should do is basically find a point now on this line, like an X, like any point you want. Let's see, we drew a line through here. It looks like the point 12, 24 is roughly on our line. So our line isn't a perfect fit. It's not a perfect predictor. That's why it's called the line of best fit. It's like the best predictor that we can get. But what we now know is that when we plug, I'm like, just commas being, if we plug this point 12, 24 for one of the answer choices, it should work. Now, it won't be exact. What will happen is you're looking for an answer that's close to 24 when you plug in the 12. So let's see which answer choice does that. Let's see if we plug it in for A. So A is, we got 26.2 minus 0.32 times 24. Okay, so that gives me an answer that is actually, okay, not, I don't know, not, oh wait, nope, I plugged in the wrong thing. 26.2 minus 0.32 times 12. Okay, so that gets me 22.36, which is quite close to 24. With these kinds of questions, you're not really gonna have one answer choice that gives you like 23 and the other one that gives you 22.36. And you're like, ha ha ha, which one's closer? No, one is gonna be really close and all the other ones are gonna be super off. So I'm assuming A is gonna work, but we can double check the other answer choices. B, so like if I plug it into B, 18.2 plus 0.28 times 12, that gets lower, that gets us 21.56. I guess it's relatively close, but now it's sufficiently far away, I think. C gets us really far away from it. D gets us super far away from it. So A should be the answer. Number 18. In 2016, the total cost of 200 books that were sold between 2,200... The total cost of the total cost for 200 of the books that were sold was between 2,200 and 2,400. Which of the following could be the number of hardcover books that were sold? Okay. So we're going to have to go through the answer choices and test them out. Let's start with A. So we're testing at 80. So if 80 hardcovers were sold, that means 120 paperbacks were sold. The cost of the hardcovers, or I should say, let me see, we're looking for the total cost. Yes. Is 14 bucks. So this would cost us 80 times 14, which is 11.20. The cost of the paperbacks was 10 per book, so it's 120 times 10. It gets us 1200. If we add these together, we get 2320. That is between 2200 and 2400. So A works. And cool. Yeah, and if that works, I mean, we're good to go. I wonder if this chair's sunk again or if I'm just... Nope, we're good. We're good. Number 19. Analysts estimate the cost of each paperback will increase by 50 cents each year after 2016. Which of the following models the cost of in C dollars of the paperback 2 years after 2016? So let's see. So the cost starts at 10, and then with each year it goes up by 0.5. So the equation that represents that is C. Okay. Number 20. Line M is defined by y equals negative 3 fourths x plus 2. Line P is parallel to line M, passes through 4, comma negative 3, which of the following defines P? Parallel lines have the same slope, so we would get negative 3 over 4. However, that doesn't help us because all the lines have that. So the easiest thing to do really would be simply to plug the point in for each of the equations and see where it exists. Okay, let's start with A. Negative 3 divided by 4 times 4 equals negative 3 minus 3. Oh, but we're looking for negative 3 when we plug in 4. So A is no bueno. Let's test out B. Negative 3 divided by 4 times 4 gets us negative 3. B works. Cool. If you have time, you can check out the other, double check it, or come back to it later. But looks like B works. It worked perfectly. Great. Moving on. 21! This is how old none of you are. So none of you should be drinking. PSA. 21. Let's see. We had a similar question to this one in the non-calc section. They like to repeat themselves. And this wig is getting very, very hot. I don't recommend turning a bunch of lights on and doing SAT work and having your brain release heat waves into your head while you're wearing one of these weird gray wigs. 21. Okay, so we're trying to see which of the following additional measurements to the triangle would provide enough info to determine the length of AB. Well, if we had AC, we could then get AB because we could use the Pythagorean theorem to figure that out. Great. So one works. What about the measure of angle ABC? So that means this angle. Oh, that would work perfectly too, because then we could just use a trig identity to figure that out. Great. That means either of these answers works, so our answer is going to be C. Number 22. We have this inequality graph, and it's represented, and we want to know which of these represents the shaded region. Cool. So we know something. What is it that we know? So we know two things. One of these equations is a regular y equals something. That's the line that's at a slant. The other equation is x equals 7. Well, not... Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's y equals 7. Or actually, rather, y is less than or equal to 7. The way to determine what, like, the sign of the inequality of the graph is super easy. If it's shaded above the line, it's greater than or equal to. If it's shaded below, it's less than, or if it's a solid line or equal to. So we know that, firstly, we can eliminate C and D because we shaded below y is 7. So it has to be y is less than or equal to 7. And it has to be above the other graph because we shaded above it. Answer choice A uses an incorrect sign for that second inequality. So B is the answer. Dope. 23. Okay. Paulina has 28 books in her collection. The frequency is summarized. She buys a new book that has 62 pages. How will this impact the mean and median of number of pages in the book? So basically what they're saying is we would have a 62 here. One of these. Great. What would happen? Well, the mean would definitely increase. Because if you have a whatever set of data and suddenly add in a whole extra really large number, the mean is going to go up. Similarly, if we added a number that's smaller than everything, that's smaller than the lowest value here, the mean would go down. So the mean goes up. So it can't be B, can't be D, so it's either A or C. Now the question is about the median. Now depending on what the median is, it could go up or it might not go up. We have to see where the median is first. So let's see. We have 28 books in the collection. So let's see where the 14th and 15th books are. So we got 1. So 1. So I'm like basically counting. So 1 at 46. The third book's at 47. Then 48, 48, 48, 48. Okay. 49, 49, 49, 49, 49. We're at 12. And then the 13th is at 50, the 14th is at 50, the 15th is at 50. So, if we add another value, our median is still within that 50 pages. So, that means that the mean went up, but the median stayed the same. That median is still 50 pages, probably because there were so many 50-page books, whatever, frequency of 5, that kind of makes sense. So C should be our answer. Cool. Number 24. A recipe requires F cups of flour. Arnold accidentally used 50% more than the recipe required. How much did he use in terms of F? Super simple. If you use 50% more, that means he used 1.5 times the original amount, which would be 1.5 F. Number 25. Table shows distribution of objects in the collection by shape and color. If a triangle is selected at random, what is the probability it's going to be red? So we're selecting a triangle. So we have a total of 12 in the triangle. Out of that 12, 5 are red. So our answer is 5 out of 12. B. 26. 26. Singing for no reason, trying to be entertaining. I don't know if it's working. Who cares? Let's go. Group of students. Oh, maybe you guys can be that group of students. Participate in the study. It was determined that for each hour of experience, the time necessary to complete the task was decreased by 5%. Wendy took 30 minutes to complete the task with no experience. Which of the following functions models how long it'll take her after X hours of experience? You could do this in a couple of ways. Me, I kind of like recognize that it should be C because we keep decreasing it by 5. And it's an exponential thing. So C does it because if you keep multiplying something by 0.95, it keeps going lower and lower and lower. Right? Like 100 times 0.95 is 0.95. Or 95. Then 95 times 0.95 is something lower than 95. You could also actually test this out. Like, you could plug a number in. Like, after... let me see. You know that after an hour, so after 60 minutes, it goes down by 5%. So you can calculate what it would... You could calculate what that 5% decrease would be, get that number, and basically plug that into the answer choices. But probably just easier to recognize that, oh, it keeps going down by 0.95. So C would be the answer. 27, an equation for the graph shown is y equals x minus 1 times x plus b, where b is a constant. What is the value of b? So basically they're telling us So we see that the zeros are this -3 and this 1. So those are the solutions. So if one of the solutions is -3, that means one of the factors is x plus 3. So if b is that value, that means our answer should be A. Okay, getting to the end, kiddos. Number 28. School club is paid $3.15 for recycling C pounds of aluminum cans. P and P tons of paper. The equation 0.5C plus 60P equals 315 represents the situation. What is an interpretation of 60P in this context? I hear some music playing from somewhere. I don't know where it's from. Okay, so 60P. So, well, P is the tons of paper. 60P, therefore, should be... They're basically telling us that each ton of the paper, you get paid $60 for it. So 60P would be your total that you would get for P papers recycled. So D. Cool. Oh, 20. You know what? I actually... No. If you guys have any questions about like 26, where I was explaining how you could plug numbers in, leave it in the comments and I'll do an explanation of that. But I don't know if you guys will actually need that. Hopefully my explanation made sense. Number 29, what is the sum of the solutions to the given equation? Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is we have to start by foiling this out. So this equation essentially is the same thing as x minus 3 times x minus 3 equals 81. So this is x squared minus 6x plus 9 equals 81. So this is x squared minus 6x minus 72 equals 0. Now, there is a beautiful shortcut to get the sum of the solutions, which is sum of solutions equals negative b over a. So it's going to be 6 over 1, which is 6. So B is the answer. This is just like one of those handy formulas that you should have memorized. I mean, you could have actually just factored this and gotten your two values and added them up and that would have given you the sum of the solutions. But this shortcut, this little quick formula, sum of the solutions is negative b over a, far easier, far faster, right? You don't have to factor anything. Number 30, the medians of A, B, C are lowercase a, lowercase b, lowercase c, respectively. What is the relationship between A, B, and C? Okay, so data set A, the median is, let's see what it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the median is at 5. In the second set, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, also 5. Cool. And in the third set, also 5. I basically just looked at where the 8th point was, right? Because we have 7, 7 is 14. What's in the middle, which is the 8th point from either end, is the median. So it's 5 for all of them. So they're all equal. So D is the answer. Cool. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the best part, where we have to use fewer strategies. No plugging answer choices in, no making up numbers, no nothing. We just got to do these the old-fashioned way, but luckily for us, the difficulty resets. So if you're getting stressed out, the last few in the multiple choice, difficulty resets on the griddles. So we've got that going for us. Cool. Number 31, side length of square ABCD is twice the side length of squared EFGH. The area of EFGH is 9. What is the area of ABCD? Okay. They've given us geometric shapes. Like I always say, if they give us geometric shapes, we draw them out. So let's see. So we've got A, let's say B, C, D. Then we've got E, F, G, H. Side length of A, B, C, D. Okay, the area of E, F, G, H is 9, which means the side length is going to be 3, right? Because the way you get the area of a square is side squared. 3 squared gives us 9. For A, B, C, D, it's twice The side length is twice as much, so it's 6. Cool. 6 times 6 is 36. So our answer is 36. Number 32, the scatter plot shows 11 data points. See, in this one, they drew that line of best fit. What roughly goes through the middle of all the points. For how many of the data points is line of best fit, predict a y value that is less than the actual y value. So that is these 5 points. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 points, great. So our answer is just 5. Number 33 in the given equation, C is a constant. The equation has no solutions. What is the value of C? If there are no solutions, what that means is that we have parallel lines. So, parallel lines have equal slopes, which means that C is just going to be 1/4, because then on both sides that coefficient of C is the same. What number is 1% greater than 7,000? Who can do the math in their head? What's 1% of 7,000? If you don't know, just use your calculator. But it should be 70. Which means the number that is 1% greater than 7,000 is 7,000 plus 70, which is 70. Common mistake here is people get the one, like, what they do, what is 1% of 7,000 instead of what number is 1% greater than 7,000. Don't make the mistake. Okay, man, I always get like tired from these sections, like speaking for like 30-40 minutes non-stop. Woo! Okay, so we've got a table. Okay, I'm just gonna like read this stuff to myself. I don't want to read it out loud. I'm too tired. Okay. The volume of component B is okay. If the volume of component B in the liquid mixture is 1 milliliter, what is the total volume of the liquid mixture? Okay, so, well, we know that B is 25% of the whole thing. So if B is 1 milliliter, that means that 1 is equal to 25% of the whole thing, or X. So X would be equal to 4. Cool. 36. Procedure was applied to a new mixture of 9 milliliters of the liquid to extract component C. We lost some volume. Only 90% of it was like, what was the extracted volume of component C in milliliters? Okay, let's reread this. We have a new sample of 9 milliliters. We have component C. So C, so 20%. So we know that of this 9 milliliters, 20% is C. So the amount of C originally in there is going to be 0.2, because that's 20% of 9, which gives us 1.8. But then we lost some volume, and so only 90% remained. So we're going to do 1.8 times 0.9 to get how much remained. So we're going to do, let's see, 1.8 times 0.9, which gives us 1.62 as our answer. Okay, almost done. 2 more questions. I hope they're short and easy. Number 37, the function is, if f of x times g of x equals 3x to the 4th minus 8x cubed minus 3x squared, what is the value of b? Okay. They told us that we're multiplying f of x by g of x to get this crazy polynomial. So let's do that. So we're going to do x squared plus bx times 3x squared minus 9x. And they said that this whole thing has to be equal to 3x to the 4th minus 8x to the 3rd minus 3x squared. So what you could do now, I'll do it out. You might be able to get away with not doing this, but I'll do it out for the sake of this video. FOIL out that left side of the equation. So we would get 3x to the 4th minus 9x to the 3rd plus 3bx to the 3rd minus 9bx squared. And this whole thing is equal to this 3x to the fourth minus 8x cubed minus 3x squared. I'm going to try not to get in too much into this question. So the two sides are equal, right? So the number of terms on each side has to be the same. So if we look, we can see that on the left side, we have a negative 9bx squared. On the right side, we have a minus 3x squared. So those have to be equal to each other because the number of x squared terms on each side has to be the same. So negative 9bx squared has to be equal to negative 3x squared. We can just drop the x squared from both sides, just divide them out, which tells us that negative 9b equals negative 3, so b equals 1/3. Boom. Last question, 38, almost done, let's do it. The rectangular mirror shown above has a width of 3 feet and a length of 5 feet and is surrounded by this mosaic border. So what they're saying is that this side is equal to 3, this side is equal to 5. If the area is 35 square feet, what is the width over the border? Okay, cool. So they said, basically they're saying the area of the whole thing is 35. Okay, so let's do it. So the way you would do that is the width is, we have an x, and a 3. So that's going to be, so first of all, area equals base times height, or length times width, whichever. So this is going to be 3 plus 2x, and then we're multiplying this by 5 plus 2x. And this is equal to 35. Oh, but wait a minute. We might be able to notice something. You can FOIL this out and solve for x, that's fine. But I noticed something else. We know the factors of 35, right? There aren't that many. It's just 1 in 35. And we know that's not going to work. And 7 and 5. So one of the, we have the 3 plus 2x and the 5 plus 2x. One of these we know has to be equal to 7. And one of them has to be equal to 5. So what if we, let's see. So what if x were to be, what if we make the first term the 5? So 3 plus 2x is 5. If 3 plus 2x is 5, that means x would be 1. That means the other term would have to be 7. And if the x is 1, the other term would become 7. Which means that x should just be 1. Cool. That works perfectly. Otherwise, what you would do is FOIL the right side out, combine like terms, set the equation to 0, then you have a regular quadratic, factor it or use the quadratic equation, or if you have the quadratic equation, solve or program something in your calculator, use it, and then you would find that x would be 1. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, like, subscribe, share. Peace out. Happy Halloween, amigos.